A question I would really like to be answered. What do you think of the mobs who lost the mob vote? Will they come to the game someday? The team remembers them. That's all I can say for now. Huh, that's funny, Jeb. You guys know, we talked about it before. That one always felt weird to me. It sat in my head for a total of 3 months until, wham bam, it happened. The mob vote loser is back. Hindsight's 2020. On the low, Jeb was being a little bit cheeky, maybe slightly sneaky. That begs the question, what else was Jeb maybe teasing? Well, potentially a lot. Besties, before we dive in, I just want to make it clear. Today is for the red line and circle drawers, the fellow Minecraft update sleuths out there like myself. Sure, I might be crazy, but I also might be right. I guess you never know. Today, gamers, let's just have some fun with it. He's not that deep. Smash that like button, and let's go. So, I figured here, just in case you're out of the loop, we'll start with a little introduction to Jeb. Jeb needs no introduction. Let's move on. Nowadays, kind of like the golden days, except the modern era, Jeb's social media of choice is Blue Sky. He's actually pretty active on this thing. He posts tons of behind-the-scenes looks at Minecraft and what's going on in the community, as well as, from time to time, answering questions from you and I alike. The besties in our game of looking at the posts and definitely not overthinking things. No, the tinfoil hat is not that tight. No. In our little game today, I want to kick everything off with this one right here. Where in the world is Jeb? Actually was. Now, as we know from the developers and things they've shown off in the past, when they're adding an update, they will usually do a little bit of on-site research. For example, with the copper golem, they head down over to the mines, a copper mine specifically, and, well, I guess looked at copper or something. I don't know how they research it. Maybe perhaps it's just a vacay. Jeb is traveling the world, or he's investigating something. Now look, I know my thing or two about geography, but I can't identify the mountain in the background of that post. I can, however, identify a beach. I go back to it, guys. Maybe it was just about the copper and copper being detectable by a metal detector, but surely it seems like there were so many other potential better ways to tease a copper golem update. What do you think? Is it another sly, clever way to give a nod to the beaches, or should we move on? So this one throws us all the way back. Cured. I love how Jeb is responding to things. It reminds me of the good old days where we got to pick between llamas and alpacas. For those requiring context, back in the day when the llama was being added to Minecraft, the devs actually asked the community what they wanted these things to be called. And Jeb says, set in the theme for today's video, yeah, but I think I'll avoid answering questions about features and development. I will not be able to give straight answers. A little bit of detective work, you say. So obviously here, guys, the most requested update, I swear, it's gonna happen at some point, please, end update, come on, please. Sooner or later, they've got to do something about this devoid of life wasteland that is known as the end. Compared to anything else in Minecraft, and it's so mundane, so blank. Hey, Jeb, I think you noticed a lot of people want an end update. It's over right here, went right for the juice, hit it with a banger. Can you confirm it? There's something about the wording of this one that I find kind of hilarious. Like, just straight up asking the dev, hey, can you just, like, say yes or no? Simple answer. And Jeb, like an F1 driver or something, finds yet another way to swerve that one. But interestingly, in our little game that we're playing today, keep in mind that Jeb doesn't have to reply to any of these tweets. That kind of pulls us back to this one right here, which was a reply on a random post right here. And clearly, in hindsight, this one right here was clearly a nod to what was coming to the game in the future. Jeb, I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if there's a way to make day cycles last a little bit longer. The idea of a day-night cycle that is a little bit longer, or perhaps from time to time, the length of each segment of the day varies a little bit, almost as if we had seasons or something. It's an intriguing idea. It's also an idea that we were literally just talking about on stream right here on the channel, so that's kind of funny. Jeb says, it's an interesting idea, kind of like the tick rate game rule. Not sure how hard it would be to be, though. Then calling us back to a now ancient Minecraft April Fool's update, this was actually already being played with in-game. Obviously unpolished, but in-game. It's not about the confirmations today. Instead, it's about what Jeb is maybe acknowledging. Perhaps maybe, if it's seen as interesting, well, at least it's for sure not fully off the table for one day in the future. So these Jeb posts, I've been taking a look at them and documenting them for quite some time now. This one throws us all the way back to the development of the Heavy Ghast update, when this thing was being added to the game, the question of a crafting recipe, it was a little bit more divisive and up in the air in the community, with even the recipe changing at one point in development. Jev's answer to the question of the happy gas being craftable and therefore life being created inside of a crafting table being a little bit weird. Thanks. The problem the team is trying to solve with this one is how to allow players in old worlds. I guess the age-old problem. So the age-old problem. The problem that I feel the devs are always taking a look at and trying to solve. For example, with the trial chamber and being able to come over to this thing and get more loot. Well, I mean, you don't even have to think about it. You've probably been in the case before where you have a Minecraft world, you're in love with it, but alas, to fall in love with that world, you ran around and actually generated things. To me, it almost feels like inside of a world, we need an option here in the menu to trim the world. You know, basically like I built into the vanilla game chunk editor, so we could clear out chunks that we don't care about. Alright, so pew-pews, you know what I'm saying. In Minecraft, it's not much of a thing. In fact, there's a pretty strict company policy against pew-pews even being modded into Minecraft. Shy Guy 852000. Since you won't add him to Minecraft, how about an air gun to Minecraft? But instead of that, an air poof or something like it. You mean to say, Jev, he was actually looking for one of these things the other day. Oh man, this one, it kind of reminds me of the crossbow here. If we load this thing with an arrow, obviously, we've got an arrow instead of a crossbow. But if we have rockets in the offhand, we can go ahead and load the crossbow with the rocket. And then, you can go ahead and rocket all over the world. Imagine putting a wind charge in the offhand, loading a crossbow with it, and then all of a sudden, you could use the wind charge and maybe launch these things a little bit farther. It's such a fascinating idea. The wind charge is such a cool item. Being able to use this thing and maybe launch them even farther, but and again, I guess you can already launch them pretty much really far. I don't know. Maybe the crossbow could, like, shoot them quicker or something? Stacks in Minecraft, they're in a little bit of a weird place. There's a little bit of some consistent rules here. For example, if we have something like a tool, it's probably not going to stack. Meanwhile, if we have something like normal blocks, well, those normal blocks will most likely stack into a stack of 64. However, at the same time, we have some random items. For example, the most popularly, the snowball, of course, that has a stack of 16, strangely. Then, we actually also have some items that experimentally maybe have expanded stacking functionality, the potion, but then also other items that are blocks, but for whatever reason, just don't stack at all. Well, in the question of the bed, and if perhaps this block could ever be made stackable, you know, almost like the other wool item, the banner, at least in a stack of 16, how come beds can't stack to 64? What was the design choice behind it? When beds were added way back when, there was plenty of more advanced items that had a stack limit of 1. Over time, most of them had changed, but the beds are still at 1. And then a follow-up that tragically Jeb left in the dark. Do you guys plan on changing it eventually? It's definitely an interesting question. I could totally see in modern Minecraft the beds being able to be stackable, almost again like the banner or something like that. Even stacks of 16 would make this thing so much nicer to carry around. Right? Like, I don't think that would break anything. The shulker. In the long list of Minecraft mobs, this thing, even though it's like a decade old now this year, well, these little box guys are surprisingly one of the most advanced Minecraft mobs to this very day. When it comes to this little guy, interestingly, the backstory and intention behind it, well, it was actually kind of different to what it became. I guess originally, the idea behind the shulker was the concept of a mob that will camouflage to the block that it is sitting on. The code base back in the day, though, it didn't support it, so Jeb changed the design to its current form. He's also not too sure where the direct inspiration came from, but he did know that he wanted something very, very vertical. You know, in all of its up-high, open-air space here. Now, the idea of the shulker changing appearance based off of the block that it's sitting on, so the box here maybe changes to an end brick texture, or even more interestingly, imagine the shulker changing to a glass texture. Oh, mama, please. Now, intriguingly, as we know, the old mob vote mobs, not only are they on the table, but maybe perhaps adding old functionalities and old ideas, they're on the table too. For even more proof of this one here, you could kind of take a look at the creaking and then the old stalker warden concept that was asymmetrical and very similar to the physique of the creaking in modern Minecraft. I guess I don't know. I'm not a developer, and I'm not too sure of the technical side of Minecraft. Like some kind of mod that actually camouflages to blocks. Maybe there would need to be a little bit more work put in behind the scenes to make it happen. But it seems like a decade on from the initial end update, it's definitely something that is way more possible nowadays. Wonder if we could ever expect some kind of camouflaging mob to be added to the game. Alright, so this one, Jeb's response is really short as you can see here, but it's very interesting. With all of these teasers, I'm gonna guess, the desert update crabs are coming to Minecraft, and a few desert mobs, maybe a snow update, a flying bird you can ride, and a new dimension. That's what I got out of it. Haha, and then Jeb replies, cool guy with the glasses. Now obviously in hindsight, the teasers that these were about, they were about the happy gas teasers. A flying bird that you can ride is very similar to the happy ghast. But is that all the Jeb was acknowledging being correct? Well, for now, yes, but I always go back to the teasing Nenbon interview with those teasers of the different biomes behind Nenbon. The devs have said there are no more mob vote losers coming to the game in this update, but they didn't say anything about the biome votes. Now here, for this next one, we have not one, but two quick things about the combat update. Just wanted to ask if you're able to answer any word on when the combat test will get more updates. Unfortunately, tragically, Jeb has nothing to share. But it's interesting to note that I believe the combat updates were handed over to Overhaul, like, at least a year ago. On top of that, another question about it, live was really fun. I'm curious in the mindset of Mojang adding backlog features like the combat update, though. In general, on that note of backlog features, I will not comment on future plans. Sorry. Look, maybe I'm looking into it too much, but no, I'm not. Future plans. So they do still plan to do something with combat. And just backlog features in general, they do plan to do more with some of those as well. So at least that's pretty cool. Exciting. Aha, and then much more recently, at least relatively speaking, May 27th, Jeb was teasing, recording something. Out of the ones that we've got here today, this is quite obviously one of the most blatant teasers. Here we can see Jeb in the screen right here, taking capture image of this entire scene that we're seeing right here. Oh, how kind, Jeb. Thank you. The interesting thing to note here, the outfit choice of the devs. They love clues, the mystery, the game. If you didn't know, outfits the devs choose sometimes are very intentional. Within Minecraft Lives in years past, certain shirts the Jeb was wearing end up being hints at games, spin-offs like Legends. Huh, it looks like Jeb is wearing some kind of shirt with a bunch of fire on it. You know what fire is kind of like? Well, fire's kind of spicy, right? Now otherwise here, what in the world Jeb could actually be recording, I'm not too sure, but clearly, I mean, it's something. With that post coming out at the end of May, which is like literally months away from Minecraft Live in this fall, there's no way it was Minecraft Live. I'm pretty sure we still haven't seen whatever this video was the Jeb was working on. So what it could be, well, I guess right now that's anyone's guess. Last but not least today, alright, maybe least, this is just the hopeful one in me. I love the biome. Like, anytime I'm asked about it on stream, whatever in general, the jungle biome. This is easily one of my favorite biomes in Minecraft. The grass color, the trees, the mobs that live here, the dense foliage, all of it. It's like pure perfection. I'm in love with it. I could marry it. Do you know what's inside of the jungle, like unique to the biome it lives here? Oh, that's right. Kitty. Oh, yeah, Kitty. Having a nice promenade with his friendly cat. Is this a jungle update? Oh, yeah, okay, maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Out of everything we took a look at today, what do you think Jeb could potentially be teasing here? We've got at least one teaser on Jeb's Blue Sky, so you never know. And maybe there's more. And so, my fellow sleuths, skeptics, and detectives, that's all I've got for you today. If you haven't yet, tap that like button and subscribe for more. On the end card, a playlist with the recent update, and come by one of my lives sometime. The world that we have going on here is really progressing and getting quite beautiful. We're almost at day 250. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.